Okay, this is just a short little talk about the Bronfrenbrenner bioecological systems approach to human development that will help you prepare for the assignment for this week. So just let me tell you a little bit about Bronfrenbrenner's ideas. I mentioned in one of the mini lectures that he was very dissatisfied with how developmental research was going. He felt that it was done with two people rather than full families and full neighborhoods or full classrooms. He felt that oftentimes that one of the two people was a stranger, oftentimes interacting with a child, and then also it was a strange situation. So he became very interested in programs that affect a person. So as I said in the other um, uh, talk, that it's like embedded Russian dolls, that one system is embedded within the other, making a whole. So it would be like the layers in this cake, all right? All are important to the overall taste of the cake and the way that the cake is presented. And so here is his approach, okay? So he talks about that there are these systems, all right? There's the individual, then there's the microsystem, and the individual is part of the microsystem. And then there's a mesosystem, an exosystem, a macrosystem, and then ultimately a chronosystem. And again, think of these as being embedded within one another, that none of them are separate from the other one. They're all acting upon the development of the person. So let's look at these. So a microsystem is the person and the people and places they have face-to-face interactions with on a regular basis. In other words, in your life, who are the people and what are the places that you interact with on a daily basis? So it might be your home, it could be your neighborhood, it could be the university, it could be your place of work. Just think of all the places that you find yourself in a daily basis and the people that are involved in those situations. So there are what he calls elements. In other words, what are the activities that go on in that particular microsystem. So, in other words, if you're at the university, what are the activities? Well, you study, you read books, you interact with other students, you interact with your professors. Your role might be as a student. You could be a teacher assistant, a research assistant. You could be an instructor. And then what are the relationships that you have with people in that? So, in that. So your role and your relationships are closely tied together. He called it your ecological niche. Okay, in other words, is the environment favorable or unfavorable to development? In other words, some children are raised in very unfavorable niches. That's why he developed the Head Start program. That's why, or he was a participant in the development of the Head Start program. That's why he feels it's so important that we have policies and programs that help people in their home settings that are having difficulties in raising their children. Um, so he was very policy oriented with that. He felt that the problem isn't with the schools, it's with the children in their homes that are coming to the schools. The influence is always bi-directional, there's an interconnectedness. In other words, when we talk about maybe you as a student, it's bi-directional. You're influencing the instructor, and the instructor is influencing you in some way at home. You influence your other family members, and they influence you. It's bi-directional. It's not one way. It's never a one-way road. There's always a give and take. So it's a joint function between the person and their environment. Now, the mesosystem is probably the one that people have the hardest time understanding. And the mesosystem is the interaction between two microsystems. So it would be the work-home relationship. Some people have so much work that they have to stay away from home. Um, or they have problems going on at home that are affecting how they're doing in the school. So it's bidirectional again, but there's this interplay between microsystems. How do they relate to one another? A parent-teacher conference is a great example of a mesosystem where the teacher at the school is interacting with the family from the home. So when you look for your mesosystems, you're looking for two microsystems and how they relate to one another. The exosystem is something that's outside of yourself but is affecting you. So you as a university student, the Board of Trustees has made decisions for you. If you're a psychology student, you come into the psychology department and someone else has set up what are the classes you have to take to get a degree in psychology. The university is set up, what are your general education requirements? So it's affecting you, but you play a role in that. So like right now, sometimes they talk about parents, like, so a parent says, I want to spend all this time with my child, but my job keeps me from doing that. Well, the child isn't involved in the adult's workplace, but it's affecting the interaction between the parent and the child. So that would be an exosystem, something outside of myself that is affecting me. And I quite possibly might not have a role in changing that. But it's like right now in Alaska, they're deciding what they're going to do with the state income tax. The legislature is deciding what they're going to do with the state income tax. They're deciding what they're going to do with the permanent fund. And so they're saying, here's what we're thinking about doing. And now the bidirectional part is you can either become passive or you can start to let them know what your opinion is. You can go to a meeting with the Board of Trustees and say, here's what I think should be happening at the school. Multimedia is affecting people more and more because it plays a role in what news we hear and how we hear it and how it's interpreted. Even when we talk about Facebook and so forth, of how people present themselves can have an effect on people. The macro system is your kind of your culture as a whole. What led to the development of your values, your beliefs, your expectations as a result of the culture. So it could be our economic culture. Okay, certainly socioeconomics plays a role into it, but it might be that you're African American, you're Hispanic, you're Native American. I believe also in that system is you're from a single family home. That is a particular type of cultural influence. Chronosystem is what Bronfrenbrenner thought about was, we talk about chronological age. In other words, when you're 16, you get a driver's license, or when you're 12, here's when you start to feel peer pressure or whatever. But he felt that a chronosystem it's kind of our life history. What are the important events that aren't tied to a specific age for everyone, but is very important for you? So I might look at that and I would say, well, my parents got into a divorce, all right, which then created a macro system of a single parent home, which then the exosystem was my mom was taken away for work. She was often away because she had to work to support the children. And then within the mesosystem, there would be, I had a babysitter and I would go to the babysitter, but also because I didn't want to go there all the time, I went to what was a community youth center, okay, which would be something that would be part of it would have been one of my microsystems, which would have been part of my mesosystem. And it all ended up me having a long life of athletics. Another thing would be when I came to Alaska. That was a huge moment in time for me. My whole life was changed at that point. So you just have to point out one or two things in your life. So hopefully this helps you when you do the assignment to understand what's required at each step. If you still don't understand, then please get hold of me.